Hello friends, today we will see how we make use of color in EtchWP, and we will see how the color assignments in Automatic.CSS can help us simplify and organize and maintain our existing color system. So currently our color system is based on a palette, and the palette has several colors. Each color has several shades from ultralight to ultra dark. And as you see, I try to keep things very simple regarding the use of color in my palette. I usually just enable the primary color and the base. Neutral is always on by default. So at least for starters, these are the colors that I am working with. However, the colors in the color palette do not provide any context or any information about how they are being used in our composition and layout. So, for example, we can use a shade of the base color as a background, as a border, as a text color, whatever. Okay, so the information here is not contextual. However, in color assignments, things are getting a bit more contextual, and now we can start organize our color palette based on specific roles. Specifically in color assignments, we can work with background color and text color, and then we can set some automatic relationships between these two. Now let's see how we can make use of these color options by practically seeing the number of colors that we are using in our layout. So I already have a layout designed here, and let's say that the background color is the default website color. Okay. In our case, and in order to keep things simple, we will leave this to white. Now let's say that for the next section I want to differentiate it a bit by adding a background color. Now, using the old way, which is the wrong way from now on, what I would do is I would set a background color and reference a color from the color palette directly. So I am referencing directly the base ultralight color. Now, using the color assignments, instead of calling directly the base ultralight, I will hook in the bg ultralight variable. And from now on, instead of adding the variable directly in the CSS, I will use classes. So essentially I can get the same background exactly by adding the class. So what about another shade that I may need to further differentiate my sections? Well, we have a light background color. Let's save the page and take a look at the front end. So we see that we have essentially three shades of light background, and the transition is pretty smooth, which I like, and there is a little tip on how to achieve this. We will go through it in a minute. But now let's say that inside the section with an ultralight background, I want to add some cards. Now, what color would these cards be? Usually what I do is allow the background colors to interplay. So I make sure that the BG light works well on BG ultralight. And I will do the opposite in case I want to have a card in a section with a light background. So let me add the ultralight background. Let me save the page. Okay. Now we have all the light shades essentially. And let's continue with the dark areas. Okay. Now you should notice that the light shades can be changed at any time. So if I go here and instead of base light I use primary light, and I can do the same for the ultralight, and then I would go to my palette and make sure that the values for lightness between the light and ultralight are close to each other, and I will make sure that the same applies for the dark shades as well. So let's set this to 20. Okay, let me save quickly. Perfect. Let's go to the next section and apply the BG Dark class. You see that the text has automatically adapted in terms of color, and this is thanks to the light and dark relationships. So essentially I'm telling the framework that whenever I'm using this class, the BG Dark class, every text element can have a specific color. Okay, so I can define specifically the text color and the heading color and a number of other colors for a section that specifically uses the BG Dark or BG Ultra Dark or any of the light classes. And let's set the BG Ultra Dark to this one. And let's do the same for the cards. The best thing about this system is scalability and maintainability. So imagine I am using this paradigm across all the pages of my website. Now let's say that at some point all the dark areas of my website I want to edit the color. So what I can do is, instead of the base palette, the base shades, I can use my primary shades. By following this approach, for example, by using the primary shades, you get a bit more monochromatic look and feel at your composition, which is directly related to the primary color. However, if you want to go a bit more neutral, you can use the base palette. Personally, I use the base palette for background color and typography. As you see here, my dark color is base ultra dark, my light color is base ultra light. So give me a moment to play around. Okay, now about that tip that I told you. In order to achieve this smooth transition between the surfaces in terms of color, always, a good idea is to keep the values for lightness between the shades close to each other, and we are really talking about a few units of measurements. So in my case, for the light background and the ultra light background, I am using the base light and base ultra light. So I am making sure that these two shades are close in terms of lightness to each other. Same applies for the dark shades. Ultra dark in my case is 13, dark is 15. And this is how we can organize our composition in terms of light surfaces and dark surfaces. That's it for now. Thank you very much for your time and attention. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.